Ferdinand Magellan was born in Portugal around 1480. From a young age, he was fascinated by the sea and the mysteries it held. Growing up in a coastal nation, he often heard tales of daring voyages and distant lands, which fueled his imagination and ambition. He loved adventure and wanted to be famous. Magellan dreamed of making a name for himself by discovering new routes and lands. He was determined to achieve greatness, no matter the risks involved. He had a big idea: to sail west to the Spice Islands. This was a bold and innovative plan, as most explorers of his time were focused on sailing east around Africa. Magellan believed that by heading west, he could find a shorter and more direct route to these lucrative islands. This was very dangerous back then because most of the oceans were still a mystery. The seas were filled with unknown perils, from treacherous weather to uncharted territories. Many believed that such a voyage was impossible and fraught with danger. Magellan was a good sailor and map reader, and he became an important officer in the Portuguese Navy. His skills and experience made him well suited for the challenges of long sea voyages. He gained a reputation for his navigational expertise and leadership abilities. But Portugal wasn't interested in his plan. Despite his credentials and passion, the Portuguese court dismissed his idea as too risky and impractical. Magellan didn't give up. He was resolute and determined to find support for his ambitious project. He went to Spain and talked to the young King Charles I. Magellan presented his plan with great enthusiasm, hoping to convince the Spanish monarch of its potential benefits. The king liked Magellan's idea. King Charles saw the opportunity to expand Spain's influence and wealth. He was intrigued by the prospect of finding a new route to the Spice Islands and the potential riches it could bring. Magellan told the king that Spain could get rich by trading spices from the east. The spice trade was incredibly lucrative, and controlling a direct route to the Spice Islands would give Spain a significant economic advantage. This new route would be safer than the one around Africa, which Portugal controlled. By avoiding the long and perilous journey around the Cape of Good Hope, Spain could establish a more efficient and secure trade route. The king wanted more land and money for Spain, so he agreed to help Magellan. He saw the potential for expanding Spanish territories and increasing the kingdom's wealth through new discoveries and trade. He gave Magellan 5 ships: the Trinidad, San Antonio, Concepcion, Victoria, and Santiago, and about 270 sailors. These ships were equipped for a long and arduous journey, with provisions and supplies to last for months at sea. Their mission: find a way to the Spice Islands by sailing west, prove that the earth is round, and claim new lands for Spain. This ambitious expedition aimed to achieve multiple goals, including scientific discovery, economic gain, and territorial expansion. Magellan's journey would go down in history as one of the most significant maritime explorations ever undertaken. Magellan's ships left Seville in September 1519. The trip was hard from the start. The Atlantic Ocean was huge and the journey was long and tiring. Food and water ran low and many sailors got sick, but Magellan kept going. After many months they sailed through a narrow passage at the bottom of South America. This passage is now called the Strait of Magellan. Magellan and his crew were the first Europeans to sail across the giant Pacific Ocean. They called it Mar Pacifico, which means peaceful sea because it looked calm compared to the stormy Atlantic. They sailed for weeks and weeks and then months and months. Food ran out and people were starving. But Magellan was determined, and he kept the expedition going. In March 1521, after more than a year at sea, Magellan's tired crew saw land. The sight of land brought immense relief and joy to the weary sailors who had endured the harsh conditions of the open sea for so long. Their journey had been fraught with challenges, from treacherous weather to dwindling supplies, and the sight of the islands on the horizon was a beacon of hope. They had reached the islands we now call the Philippines. These islands, with their lush greenery and inviting shores, promised a much-needed respite for the crew. The Philippines, an archipelago of over 7,000 islands, was a new and uncharted territory for the explorers. They needed food and rest, so they landed on Hominhan Island. Hominhan, with its abundant natural resources, provided the perfect place for the crew to replenish their supplies and regain their strength. The island's fresh water and food sources were a welcome change from the limited rations they had been surviving on. This was a very important moment in the history of the Philippines. The arrival of Magellan and his crew marked the beginning of significant changes for the islands and their inhabitants. It was the start of a new era, one that would bring both opportunities and challenges. It's the beginning of the country's written history, and sadly, the start of its colonization by Spain. The Spanish influence would shape the culture, religion, and governance of the Philippines for centuries to come. This period of colonization brought about profound transformations, some of which are still evident today. Magellan wanted to be friends with the people who lived there. He believed that establishing good relations with the local inhabitants was crucial for the success of his mission. Magellan's approach was to engage with the islanders in a friendly and respectful manner. He met with several chiefs on the island of Limasawa. These meetings were significant as they laid the groundwork for future interactions between the Spanish and the local leaders. The chiefs of Limasawa played a key role in the initial stages of this historic encounter. Some chiefs, like Raja Colombo, were friendly and gave the Spanish gifts. These exchanges of gifts were symbolic gestures of goodwill and mutual respect. Raja Colombo's hospitality was a positive sign for Magellan and his crew, indicating the potential for peaceful coexistence. But even though they exchanged gifts, they were very different from each other. The cultural differences between the Europeans and the islanders were vast, from their clothing and customs to their beliefs and way of life. These differences would pose challenges in their interactions and understanding of each other. Magellan thought it would be easy to make the islanders become Christians and follow Spanish rule. He underestimated the complexity of the local cultures and the resistance they would have to foreign domination. Magellan's mission was not just about exploration, but also about spreading Christianity and expanding the Spanish Empire. Magellan's meetings with the Filipinos were a mix of talking, confusion, and fighting. Some chiefs were friendly, but others didn't trust the Spanish. Lapu-Lapu, the chief of Mactan Island, wanted his people to stay free. He refused to follow Spain or become Christian, even when Magellan tried to force him. The fight between Magellan and Lapu-Lapu shows what happened when European countries tried to take over other lands. Magellan thought his weapons and religion were better, so he didn't think the islanders would fight back. But Lapu-Lapu was ready to protect his home. Magellan and Lapu-Lapu fought on April 27, 1521. Magellan thought his guns and cannons would make him win, so he took about 60 men to Mactan Island. He wanted to defeat Lapu-Lapu and show everyone that Spain was in charge. But Magellan made a big mistake. Lapu-Lapu's warriors fought hard with spears, bows, and arrows. They also knew the island very well. The Mactan warriors were outnumbered, but they were brave and strong. They pushed the Spanish back. The Battle of Mactan was a terrible loss for Magellan. The Spanish were surprised by how fiercely the islanders fought. Magellan himself was killed in the battle. The Battle of Mactan shows how brave Lapu-Lapu and the Mactan people were. They protected their home from a much stronger enemy. Lapu-Lapu's victory inspired other chiefs in the Philippines to fight against the Spanish. This delayed Spain's takeover of the islands for many years. Today, Lapu-Lapu is a national hero in the Philippines. He is a symbol of fighting against foreign rule. His bravery inspires people who want to be free. Lapu-Lapu's story reminds us that even the biggest empires can be defeated by people who are determined to protect their homes. Magellan didn't finish his trip around the world, but his voyage was still important. His journey marked a significant milestone in the age of exploration, demonstrating the vast potential of maritime navigation and the human spirit's unyielding quest for discovery. It proved that the Earth is round, and it opened up new trade routes between Europe and Asia. These routes not only facilitated the exchange of goods but also ideas, cultures, and technologies, forever altering the course of history. Magellan's trip changed how Europeans saw the world. It expanded their horizons both literally and figuratively, and ignited a fervor for exploration that would lead to the discovery of new lands and the establishment of global empires. People learned that the Earth wasn't flat, and it started a new time of exploration. This era, known as the Renaissance, was characterized by a renewed interest in science, art, and the natural world, driven by the desire to understand and explore the unknown. Lapu-Lapu is not as famous as Magellan, but his story is also important. As a native chieftain, he stood as a symbol of resistance against foreign domination, embodying the spirit of his people and their determination to defend their homeland. He showed how brave native people were when others tried to take their land. His leadership and courage during the Battle of Mactan became a powerful narrative of indigenous resistance and resilience. His victory at Mactan reminds us that even the strongest empires can be defeated by people who fight for their freedom. This battle was not just a clash of arms, but a profound statement on the power of unity and the will to preserve one's way of life. Magellan and Lapu-Lapu, two very different men, show us how complicated history can be. Their stories intersect at a pivotal moment, highlighting the complexities of exploration, conquest, and cultural encounters. They remind us of a time of exploration, conquest, and the clash of different cultures. This period was marked by both great achievements and profound conflicts, shaping the world in ways that continue to resonate today.